So we are going back into the past, deep into the past, let's say 3300 BC. This is way before the birth of Jesus Christ. And here you have the early four civilizations. The first one is the early Sumerian civilization. The second one is the early Egyptian civilization. The third one is our own early Harappan civilization or early Indus Valley civilization. Then we have the early Chinese civilization. So these are the four civilizations. Okay, the four civilizations of the Bronze Age, the four civilizations which ruled the Bronze Age. We will discuss about these civilizations in the later parts of our history chapters, right? Now, let me show you one more interesting thing. So, as you can see, we have a gentleman here. So, this is a artificial reconstruction of a boy that was found in the Rakhigari side of Harappa. So, this is how a Harappan looked like. The early Harappan looked like. So this is a artificial intelligence reconstruction how a boy during that period in early Harappa looked like. Okay, so just giving you an example, right? So what's next? Now there is an important thing you have to understand. These civilizations grew, right? When these civilizations grew, along with this civilization, there was a culture. Now there's a difference between culture and civilization. Culture is pretty much primitive, right? Civilization means they are a level above culture. In cultures, they are just focused on farming and pottery and all those stuff. But in civilization, they have gone beyond agriculture and pottery. They have, gotten into art and architecture. They have gotten into trade with other civilization. So as you can see, Egyptian, Sumerian, Harappan and Chinese, these are civilizations. However, at the top you have a culture called as Yamanaya culture. This particular culture is the forefather of the European as well as the Indo-Aryan languages. This particular culture, Yamanaya culture. And as you can see, there is a gentleman, a bald gentleman. So this is again a facial reconstruction of the skeleton that was found in Yamanaya or the parts where the Yamanaya culture was located. This particular people of Yamanaya culture, they were focused on farming, agriculture, hunting. Now there are few similarities between the cultures of Sumerian and Harappan with Yamanaya culture, but you should understand that Yamanaya culture were more into invasion. They were focused on horses. They knew how to work with horses. And that is why they spread their cultures into many territories. Let's go forward in time. Let's say 2700 BC. As you can see, the Yamanaya culture has spread towards the west, right? As you can see, it has gone a little more into the west. Now it is covering parts of France and Germany. So it has also reached the parts of Czechoslovakia and all. Okay, so it has covered parts of Czechoslovakia. On the other hand, if you look down, you have the Egyptian, Sumerian, Harappan and Chinese. They have grown. Now right now, these cultures, especially the Harappan culture, is in the most mature form, right? It's in the peak period, where the Harappan civilization was at the peak period. During 3300 BC, it was in a growing stage. Right now, 2700 BC, it's at the mature phase, the peak phase. Awesome. Okay, so as you can see, you have the Yamanaya culture and it has spread. Now let's go forward again in time. Now this is 2400 BC. The Yamanaya culture has again spread to parts of Portugal and Spain. It has also reached parts of UK. Awesome. Okay, now comes the interesting part. 1800 BC. The Yamanaya culture has spread to the parts of Central Asia. The Yamanai culture in Central Asia is known as the Sinhasta culture and the Andronovo culture. These two cultures are quite important for Indian history. From Sinhasta and Andronova, the people who came to India are known as the Rigvedic Indo-Aryans. Right? Okay, so as you can see now, the civilizations, that is the Egyptian, Sumerian, Harappan and the Chinese, have declined. From 3300 BC, it was the rise. Okay, it was growing. Around 2700 BC, it reached the mature phase. Now it's in the declining phase. On the other hand, the Yamanai culture, okay, it's a culture, not a civilization. The Yamanai culture is growing. It is spreading out to different parts of the world. Okay, so we have reached at that point 1800 BC. So what's next? Now, as you can see, 1700 BC. The Yamanai culture has again spread. However, many of the civilization, the Bronze Age civilization, are on decline. Like this, it's on decline. 1700 BC, the Harappan civilization has split into three parts. It's in a declining phase. Right? So what's next? Let's explore. Now we are going to focus on the parts of the Indian subcontinent. We have the Indian part. Okay, as you can see, you have the Indian part, Kashmir and parts of Punjab and Haryana, UK. You have those parts, and then we have pretty much the whole of Pakistan and pretty much the whole of Afghanistan, right? And at the top, right, at the top you have Andronovo culture, right? At the top you have the Andronovo culture in the left. So this is where the Rigvedic Aryans came from. Okay, so now we are going to understand the geography of the Indian subcontinent. This is important to understand because there are few passes that you have to know, because without these passes the Rigvedic Aryans wouldn't have reached India, right? So let's explore them. So as you can see, you have the Hindu Kush mountains, and as you can see at the north of the Hindu Kush mountains, it basically acts like a boundary between Afghanistan and Pakistan, right? And one more important thing that you have to know is that it pretty much runs along the entirety of Pakistan, like it's their spine, the spinal cord of Pakistan, right? It separates pretty much in the northern part, it separates Afghanistan and Pakistan, the Hindu Kush mountains. Now remember, these mountains has some passes through which the Western people, or let's say the Indo-Aryans or people from the western side, can enter into India or Pakistan. So another important thing that you have to know is these are the Himalayas, right? We are familiar with Himalayas, so there's nothing to worry about. These are the Himalayas. So what's next? There is an important thing that you have to know. Okay, as you can see, this is the path through which these Aryans are going to come. Now, as you can see, you have a small spot there. Okay, there's a small group, not small group, quite a big group of Rigvedic Aryans present near Afghanistan. Okay, as you can see, you have this particular group. They are going to reach India through this particular pass. So they have moved forward around 1550 BC. They have reached the Hindu Kush mountains and near the Khyber Pass. They are trying to squeeze in, right? And by 1500 BC, they have reached the Indian subcontinent. They have reached India. They were already in Indian subcontinent. Now they have reached India. So what's next? Now there is another important geographical thing that you have to know about: the rivers. Let's explore them. So these are our rivers. Okay, you are already familiar with this particular river, that is the Indus River. Rest, the Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Bhees, Satluj and Saraswati, they are its tributaries. Okay, there is the whole Indus River that is flowing along, and then we have the Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Bhees, Satluj and Saraswati. Now, a very important thing to note that All these rivers are mentioned in Rigveda, right? All these rivers are mentioned in Rigveda. There is a very important aspect that you have to know right now. Indus, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Bhis and Satluj are still present in India as well as in Pakistan. However, the river Saraswati, it has just simply vanished. Many geologists agree that Saraswati river does exist, but it's flowing underground. So I have marked Saraswati to point out a very important aspect. Let me show you that. So this particular region that is marked in yellow, it's known as Sapta Sindhu. Sapta Sindhu. Sindhu means river or ocean. Okay. Sindhu means river or ocean. Sapta means 7. Sapta Sindhu means 7 rivers. 7 rivers. Sapta Sindhu means 7 rivers. And as you can see, the whole area, okay, the whole area mentioned in yellow, marked in yellow, is the region where the whole Sapta Sindhu river flows. As you can see, you can find the whole 7 rivers along that particular region marked in yellow. You can find the Indus River, the Jhelum River, the Chenab River, the Ravi River, the Bhis River, the Satluj River, and also the Saraswati River. A very fertile and important region. This is where the Rigveda was actually composed, the region of Sapta Sindhu. So what's next? Now the Rigvedic Aryans reached in many different, tribes. They came in multiple waves. Okay, they came in multiple waves. The first wave arrived around, let's say, 1550 BC. From then, there came many different waves. And they established small farming communities across these Sapta Sindhu rivers. So as you can see, these are those cultures, the Rigvedic cultures located around the Sapta Sindhu region. Okay, some of them goes even far up to Afghanistan. Now, there is an important thing that you have to know. All these are small kingdoms or cultures, small tribes, but essentially Indo-Aryans. Now, you have to focus on the red part, the place where the Bharata tribe is located, right? Bharata tribe is essentially located on the eastern part, right? The eastern part, and is located near the most fertile regions, the part where it covers the most of the Vedic rivers, right? Now, the thing is, maybe due to the lack of resources or the over exploitation of the resources back in those times, it was water and land. Bharata tribe actually expanded a lot. However, the rest of these tribes didn't like it. So what happens next? These tribes form an alliance against the Bharata tribe, right? And the Bharata tribe was led by this man called as King Sudas. King Sudas led the Bharata tribe against these 10 tribes, rest of the 9 tribes. And this battle that happened between, these 10 tribes is known as the Battle of the 10 Kings. It was essentially Bharata versus the rest of the 9 tribes. And what happened? Pretty much all the 9 tribes ganged up against the Bharata tribe, which was led by King Sudas. However, for some reason, the Bharata tribe defeated all of them. I don't know how it happened, but Rigveda mentioned there was a clever ploy made by the King Sudas of Bharata tribe, and that is why they were able to defeat all of them. A very interesting thing that you can learn from Rigveda. So what's next? Now, Bharata tribe essentially absorbed all of them into their empire, their own kingdom. King Sudas was pretty much quite benevolent, and he forgave everyone. And he later asked all of them to join and make a bigger kingdom, a bigger polity. And this essentially became the first Indian polity called as the Kuru kingdom. Now, the people in Kuru were quite happy with King Sudas. And they started taking the identity called as the Bharata tribe. All the tribes were dissolved and the Bharata tribe became the central tribe. And maybe this is why the Bharata tribe became legendary, that its name became synonymous with India.